Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of Connie Smith, who was 10 years old when she disappeared on July 16th of 1952. She had spent about 3 weeks at Camp Sloan in Salisbury in Connecticut, and from all accounts she had been doing well. Her mother had visited a few days before she disappeared, and she indicated Connie that she wanted to stay a little longer. She didn't seem too disappointed when her mother said that that wasn't going to be an option, but still, she seemed to be having a good time. Now, on the morning that she disappeared, though, she did have a fight with a few of the other girls there, and she told the people in her tent that she was going to return an ice pack to, I guess, the camp leaders, because she had previously fallen out of the tent, I believe the day before, and hurt her hip, from what I heard, and that's why she had the ice pack. She was going to return that, and then she disappeared. The ice pack was still at the tent, so that was just an excuse, apparently. She was seen walking down the Indian Mountain Road by several people, and later also found around the US Route 44 and Belgo Road by a couple. When people saw her, she had been observed picking some daisies or other flowers along the road. She asked a few people for directions to Lakeville. Some people said that she appeared to be crying at that point, but she was quite tall for a 10-year-old, and a lot of people just thought she was older than she really was. She was also fairly well spoken, coming from a pretty good household and having a fascination with horses and all that sort of thing. Her family owned, I believe, a ranch and a few other businesses, among which a trout breeding business, meat packery, something along those lines. So she came from a pretty good household, and so she was fairly well educated, spoke quite well, and appeared older than she really was. But after the sighting around Route 44 and Belgo Road, she was not seen or heard from again. There have been a few suspects, among which a former carnival person, Carney, called William Henry Redmond, who had admitted at some point to a fellow inmate that he had killed 4 people during his lifetime, but never actually confessed to having anything to do with Connie, and also passed a lie detector test. Now, lie detector tests aren't necessarily admissible in courts, but it does show a thing or two, I guess, at least, that people are not nervous when they're answering the questions, and there's no hidden motive there when they're being asked those questions. So he passed that, and he passed away in 1992, so even if it were him, we can't prosecute any further. So today we're going to take a look at this case with the tarot. We're starting off with the Botticelli tarot deck, which is already on a table, which is this one. It has the golden detailing on most cards. You can kind of see it there. Yeah, there you go. And there's that one. And for any further questions, we're moving on to the Wise Dog Tarot, which is this one, with all of the images of the dogs, like this one, for instance. So, without much further ado, I'm just going to start shuffling the cards as soon as... Oops, just shoved the camera. I was about to say I'm just going to start shuffling the deck. As soon as we have about a table full of cards, I'm going to stop and we're going to take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's see what we've got here. We're starting off in the top left with the Wheel, which is upright. Then the Queen of Wands, inverse, and the Emperor. So the Wheel is always something that points towards change. the wind starts blowing a different direction, that type of thing. It's just a new day, new opportunities. There's a new chapter about to start. This could mean that that morning she just kind of felt a little different, because we do also see here the Queen of Wands, which is in reverse. Now, Queen of Wands is somebody who's very actionable, likes what she, at least knows what she wants, and may be very quick to react as well. Now, this kind of reminds me how she had that fight with those girls. She may have been in a slightly different mood and made some decisions that she normally would not have made, and that's where we see her acting out. And the next card we have here is the Emperor upright. Now, the Emperor is usually somebody who is like a father figure in somebody's life. Could be an authority of some sort. It could be that she went and sought somebody out over this fight. I don't really know anything about that. Could be that she went to one of the camp leaders and maybe they were unavailable, or they gave her some advice and then she just kind of walked away. I don't know, because the next card that we have here is the Three of Cups in reverse. Now, the Three of Cups is normally like a harmony card between friends, people coming together and having a good time, but it's in reverse, like I said, so there's definitely some disharmony going on here, which I think might be either her having or given answers that she doesn't like, and then the next thing that she does is make up her own mind, because we see the Queen of Pentacles here, which is somebody who's very practically minded. So I think that she ran into some disharmony after this fight. After the fight, not just the fight itself, which would of course be the main source of disharmony that morning, but she kind of like looked at things a little bit more from a practical point of view, like, okay, I'm not really feeling happy here anymore. I got into a fight, I had some issues there right here early in the morning. Somebody may have tried to intervene, and still that did not sit well with her, and so she decided that the best thing to do was to leave. She weighed her options quite literally, because we have the Two of Pentacles here, which is usually about striking a balance with your resources, which can also be time. So I think she may have felt like, okay, you know what, if this is what it's going to be for the next month that I still have to stay here, maybe my time is better spent going elsewhere and I need to strike a new balance. I'm just going to go do my thing, and that's why she left. So on the next row, let me take a look what we got. We got the Lovers in reverse. I see that right here in the bottom. We have a couple extra cards, but I'll come to those later. We have the Lovers in reverse, like I said, and we have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have the Six of Cups in reverse. Okay, so the Lovers in reverse. The Lovers can be running into somebody that you like or do not like, or want to make a connection with, something along those lines. Could also be subscribing to a certain pattern of thought, a certain routine, a group setting, that type of thing. So maybe she just kind of felt like, you know what, after I've done struck up my balance there over here with the Queen and the Two of Pentacles, I decided that, you know what, I don't like it here and I'm better off going somewhere else. Also, she did not see any good coming out of this situation because of the Nine of Pentacles right next to it. Like, Nine of Pentacles normally like being content with what you've got, and she was not. Or she just felt like this could be the point where she's already on the road. She may have already fled here with the Lovers in reverse, and then while she was out there, she did actually, she was seen crying. So I think while she was out there, Nine of Pentacles is pointing towards her, feeling like maybe the decision that she made was not the best one that she could have made. She's not feeling good. She's not feeling happy with her current circumstances. And then we have the Six of Cups in reverse. Six of Cups is normally like a thinking of the past, fondly remembering the past, having connections with the past, melancholy, and it could be that she's looking back at what she used to have. Could also mean that she is trying to apply things that she's learned in the past. Like I said, she had a family that had a ranch and stuff like that, so maybe she thought that she knew what she was doing at the time, but it wasn't quite as she remembered. And she was definitely feeling the burden of being out there on her own with fewer resources than she thought she would have. Maybe she thought she would be better at this maybe she thought that going home would be easier than it actually turned out to be, and that's where she got melancholic about the whole journey. Maybe even melancholic about the place that she just left. Alright, then we have the Magician. Let me put these guys aside for a moment. The Magician's upright, and we have the Chariots, and then we have the Seven of Wands. Okay, so Magician is usually somebody who is pretty good at getting things done. They have a good command of things. Like I said, she was pretty learned, and I am looking at the book in the background that does seem to suggest knowledge over there, so maybe she was actually doing pretty good for herself, or at least felt like she was doing good for herself. We see the Chariot here, which definitely points towards movement, so she was definitely trying to get a move on. But we have a Seven of Wands, which is normally like a coming for your position. Interestingly enough, though, this is a centaur on the card, and the centaur reminds me, I think it's Chiron, who is also a centaur, but also the teacher, I think, of Greek mythology, or maybe also Roman mythology. Not really sure what their name was there. But the teacher, who was also a centaur, who instructed several gods and godlings, I think. And maybe they felt like, even though this felt like a challenge, because it is the Seven of Wands, she felt like maybe she was smarter than the average person and she could handle it, or she felt like she should be able to handle it because she was a ranch girl after all. So maybe she thought like, okay, I'm actually pretty good at this. I'm moving, I'm doing things on my own here with the Chariots, and even though it's quite challenging, because they are a challenge card, the Seven of Wands, and I'm still able to do things because I just have all this experience. She thought probably that she had more experience than she actually had for a 10-year-old. We have the Star in reverse. Okay, and then we have the Two of Wands. All right. So this Star actually kind of threw me for a loop real quick, because it kind of looks a lot like the Three of Cups in the ways that there's three people together and they're all kind of joining together, but it is the Star. And with the Two of Wands right there, I think that after a while she no longer believed that her skills were as good as she initially thought they were over here. Like, even though she wasn't feeling too great about her options, she had that moment of, I think I can do this, and then after a while, no I can't, because the Star is going down. And the Two of Wands is in reverse, and Two of Wands is normally like making traveling arrangements and plans and stuff like that and looking to strike out, but it's in reverse. So I think those plans turned out not as fruitful as she would have hoped. So far we only really have her on the road. This could also be, since I did feel like the Star looked a lot like the Three of Cups, she may have tried, well, she did ask a few people for direction, so I think that might also be a reference to that, and it ended up not helping her, because the Two of Wands person also does not appear to be very steady-footed. They appear to be like almost like tightrope walking. If I turn it around real quick, you can see that she's trying to balance here. So it's not like she was very sure-footed in her path. So even though she asked for directions, they didn't quite help her out as much as perhaps the people telling her the directions thought that it would. And so it wasn't quite the path that she had hoped for. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, we have one card already. We have the Two of Pentacles by the looks of things. Actually, no, I think it's a Two of Wands, because these are not quite, they're like triskelions, I believe those are called, but these are definitely fully shaped wands. I went and looked into deck to make sure that I had the right card. And once again, it is in reverse, and that means we have the Two of Wands twice in a row, and both times in reverse. So still looking for directions. Also looking for natural signs, I think, because I'm looking at the birds that are also on the card. There's like two groups of birds flying in each corner. There's a white group up there, and then another dark one in the bottom right corner there. I think that with the mountains in the background, looks as though she may have tried again and again to find her way, and still not managing it. And then we have, who is this? We have the Ten of Wands, which is definitely being tired of fighting, tired of the journey. It's also dark now by the looks of things. I'm thinking this also looks like a bit of a puppy as well. Like this is a young person and they are tired, so I think that they try to find a spot to spend the night after spending the entire day trying to find her way to Lakeville. Okay, and who is this? This is the Ten of Swords. Okay, so not only is she tired of walking and trying to find the way, she's also very tired mentally, because of course the Ten of Swords is also a mental card. I think once again we have this melancholy as well, just like with the Six of Cups. This dog is dreaming of better days and feeling really bad about themselves. So I think the first night away from camp she spent somewhere in maybe in the forest or somewhere out and about, so not in an actual bed in a home, but more like outside, still on the road somewhere, feeling both mentally and physically exhausted. Okay, and then we have, this one's being pushed aside, we've got the Eight of Cups, so walking away from something, and the Devil in reverse. Okay. So we're walking away from something, but what's interesting is this dog is looking at the river rather than walking away from the river, and it's almost like they're taking a moment to realize that there's no turning back in this case. Like there's no going back to the camp. They've been gone for too long now. The sun has risen, so I think this is the next morning, but they're unable to find their way back. They're probably just completely lost in an area that they're not familiar with. We have the Devil here in reverse. Devil is normally like some type of addiction or an enslavement or something. Maybe they kind of felt like they were free and on their own, but not in a good way. Could also mean that now she was really fully aware of her situation. Like before, it was a bit more like, oh no, I've got this great idea. I'm going to just go out and do my own thing. I'm going to make it. I'm smart enough, like I said. But then the realization that she was lost started to set in. And now with the Devil in reverse, all of the veneer, I guess you would call that, dropped away. Like normally you have this thoughts that you're safe no matter where you are because you're part of society, and you can just go to bed and have some food here, you can go to the store, you can ask people for help and stuff like that. But she was probably now feeling very much alone in the world, and all of the stuff that she used to be so attached to, being able to call upon all the modern amenities of society, they were no longer there, and she felt very bad about that. Like really realizing that there's no way she could just go for a drink even though she's hungry, and there's no way she can just go and change her clothes even though they're dirty and wet and stuff like that. Just out on her own, possibly in a forest. I believe she was in even near a mountainous area. I mean, there was a road called the Indian Mountain Road, so she may have been on the mountain as well. And even though she may have been able to see some houses left and right, I don't think she felt like she was still part of the world. Let's see. We have the Emperor. Okay, so now we have somebody, either she's remembering somebody or she's coming across somebody. Looking at the golden apple and the goat skull. I think that's a goat skull there in the bottom. I think this may be somebody who was wandering around the forest, who appeared to be a savior of sorts. I'm thinking maybe a hunter because of the skull down there, like somebody who knows the area and who then offered to help her out because they knew the area and they were very wise about that, and they could also provide her with things, which is the golden apple right there. But there is always a bit of danger around strangers like that, stranger danger, but also just somebody who has all the cards in their hand. Okay, so we have the Lovers in reverse again, and then we have the Moon. All right, so I don't think that this interaction with this Emperor person, or whomever she considered to be an Emperor in that particular point in time, had good intentions, because we see the Lovers in reverse followed by the Moon. Now the Moon is of course hiding everything that's happening or has happened, and the Lovers in reverse, I think, might be them trying to force her into things that she did not want to get involved with, which were then quickly hidden by the Moon. Let's see what else we can find after that. So this could be somebody who had maybe no previous record, but because she appeared older than she was and she was lost and needy, maybe took advantage of that. What else can we find out about this? Okay, we have the 8 of Wands dropping. Now this is one of those cards again that kind of looks like it could be Pentacles and it could be Wands, but I see so many Wands here that I'm going to say 8 of Wands. We could read it as both. So 8 of Wands is normally trying to get a lot of stuff done, and 8 of Pentacles is a craftsman. It doesn't look to me like a craftsman, although the hunter could have been a very crafty hunter, but I think this is more the 8 of Wands side of energy, trying to maybe get the word out, because the 8 of Wands is also communication, and I think that maybe she is trying to communicate with people, but that did not go well. She may have tried some new initiatives that also did not go well, tried moving certain actions. She may have been trying to escape, I feel like, and that was thwarted, that attempt. Oh, that card jumped but didn't quite come out, nor did it flip over. See what else we can get. Okay, that one. Let's see, we have, this is the 9 of Cups in reverse. Okay, so we're feeling really bad about our situation. This is kind of like the emotional version of the 9 of Pentacles that we had at the bottom of the table here under the Lovers there. So she's feeling really bad. Her attempts at escaping have been thwarted. She cannot go away. She cannot get a message out to other people. I do feel like we are in a remote area, perhaps a cabin in the woods that nobody really knows about unless you need to be there for some reason, which would only really be the owners and their friends. And she is feeling very much alone and very negative about her circumstances. We got 2 cards off to the side here. This one and you. We have Justice and the Hierophant. Okay, that's interesting, because Justice would be trying to settle the score and maybe get out of there, maybe get somebody on her side, something like that. We have the Hierophant here, so it could be that somebody actually came to visit the location and they were being represented by the Hierophant in this case, who could have called this hunter to task. We are actually getting some hunter vibes here with that dog pack there up on the right on the Hierophant, with the fox there in the bottom, like they are on a fox hunt, that type of thing. So somebody who knows this person came by, possibly, and actually helped her out by calling the hunter to task, because they have some type of sway over them. Could be that this is some type of caseworker or somebody who is from the local government or something along those lines, and they may have helped out. And then we have the 3 of Swords by looks of things. Yep, Swords. 3 of Swords is 3 is a crowd. It's on its side, so maybe the arrival of this Hierophant initially seemed to lead to justice. She may have felt like, oh, somebody's here to help me finally. It's somebody whom the hunter respects and whom he'll listen to. But then we have the 3 of Swords on the side. 3 of Swords is normally a 3 as a crown situation. And on its side, I think that the new arrival, this person, ended up not being the person that she thought, at least not as good as she thought they were. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to go back to the Botticelli deck, because now we're starting to get an overlap of the Wise Dog Tarot, which is difficult to read. So maybe this person whom initially appeared to be on her side had bad intentions after all. And maybe they actually felt like they wanted to get Connie out of that situation so that they would no longer have the hunter involved, almost like taking her off the hunter's hands for their own purposes, it seems as though. Well, let's see what else I can find. Oh, there's 2 and 3. Hello, there's a lot of cards here. Okay. One of them, no, 2 of them fell here. We're going to get to these in a moment. We have Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. Okay, so these two may have been going against each other because we have the Knight of Pentacles here who is very methodical, calm, and steady. And then we have the Knight of Wands over there who is very gung-ho and quick to call to action. Both of them are kind of on the same level in that sense that they're both knights, and they may have been going against each other. One of them with his practical reasoning and the other one with quick actions. They could have had a discussion. Let's see what the rest of the cards say. Let's see, this one came first after those guys. We have here the Knave of Wands, which is the Page of Wands, and it's in reverse. So I think the Knight of Wands won over the Knight of Pentacles in this case. Knight of Pentacles probably being the hunter. No, not the hunter. I think the other person, the Hierophant. And the Knight of Wands probably being the hunter because he seems the more impulsive type. I think that they ended up doing something that was not good. Followed by the 10 of Wands again. And the 7 of Pentacles. Okay. Interesting that the 7 of Pentacles is upright, but that's okay. We have the 10 of Wands here, which is definitely feeling very much worn, exhausted, and I think this is Connie again. So we had a little interlude there with these 2 men possibly arguing among themselves what to do with Connie. Connie herself is now showing up as this 10 of Wands, feeling very exhausted with the situation. We do see a 7 of Pentacles. Like I said, that is very interesting because that's normally a seeing things growing on the vine that you have planted. It could be that she has been trying to make the best of the situation, or trying to play perhaps both men against each other to try and get the best out of it. And she is at this point exhausted and just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen next here with this 7 of Pentacles. See what the result of all of this is, but she herself is too tired to undertake much of anything. Okay, this card wanted to sneak out. The 3, which is the Empress. Okay, so somebody may have been taking care of somebody else. I think this may be Connie being asked by what I guess is now still the hunter, because he won earlier with the Knight of Wands, being asked to kind of stay on as almost like a housekeeper, or to take care of him, to cook his meals, do the dishes and laundry and stuff like that. It kind of has that vibe like, okay, I'm now stuck in this situation. I need to take care of him. I need to bide my time with this 7 of Pentacles, and now we are taking on almost a motherly role. And then we have the 5 of Swords in reverse. Okay, so now we're having an argument. 5 of Swords normally like a verbal sparring. It could be that they had a pretty big fight. After a while, she may have been thinking badly about him behind his back, because it could be that this is an internal thing. I tend to read the reverse cards as an internal process, so she may have on the outside pretended to be helping him out, while in the meantime thinking her own things about the situation, or they had a really big fight. Let's see what else we can get. This one. And this is Judgments in reverse. Okay, so I think that they had a really big fight, because Judgment is normally like almost like an end station, or at least it's not quite the death card, but it's more like somebody has made up their mind, and I'm thinking since in reverse that it is the hunter in this case making up their mind about the situation and deciding that they've had enough, probably, because it is in reverse, which is not a good judgment to make. What else do we have? Oops, this one. And then we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. Okay, so definitely lying, but off the cuff. Like the Knight of Swords is fairly almost as gung-ho as the Knight of Wands, but in this one, in this case, with words and thoughts rather than with action. So it could be that we are still looking at this very impulsive character whom after making a judgment call decided to tell her some quick lies, possibly to get her to do things that would help him carry out his plan, possibly like telling her a lie like, oh, I'm going to return you to the camp now. You're at Camp Sloan, right? Okay, I know where that is. I'm going to take you back. Just follow me, that type of thing. There we go. And then we have Justice on the side. Okay, so it's also in the same position as his other on the side card. So he tells lies to Connie, probably tells her those lies in order to get her to do things that he wants her to do. We have Justice on its side, and I kind of feel like it's almost like I'm getting this impression that he didn't want to be cruel, but he also didn't want to do right by her, if you know what I mean. Like this could be the point where he decides he needs to get rid of her, but he wants to be humane about it. That's kind of what I'm getting this vibe, what that is. Let's see if we can get any final cards, because I think we're about to round off this reading here. So he's told her some lies to trick her, and then he does whatever he thinks is best, which I think he did try to be humane, but it's still not a good outcome for Connie. Okay, we got 3 cards here. The first one was the Magician in reverse. Okay, so somebody's definitely no longer having any options or luck with things. They cannot get the things they want to get done. We have here the High Priestess in reverse, so we're definitely not able to foresee things. And then lastly, we have the Three of Cups in reverse as well. Okay, so it could be that this might be representing Connie again, the Magician in reverse, because we had over here the Seven of Pentacles and the Empress, which I think was her plan to try and somehow make things work, while thinking her own thing about that with the Five of Swords. Then we have, I think, the final 3 cards for Connie here. She is no longer capable of influencing the situation. She also does not see it coming, because the High Priestess is in reverse, followed by the Three of Cups, which I think in reverse is a reveal of the actual plan, which I think ended up leading to her untimely demise. So I think this is all I'm going to get for Connie. Looks as though she initially spent some time by herself, if I read the cards correctly, and then found somebody in the forest whom seemed initially as a savior, who ended up doing some very bad things with her, ended up being interrupted by somebody else, whom then also tried to get involved in this, but got dismissed by the same hunter person that we saw, whom after a while decided that this situation could no longer continue, and then made up his mind to try and rid himself of Connie in some fashion, which may have been trying to be humane. Of course, it's still not right. And then Connie herself, who was unaware that this was going to happen because he lied to her until the very last moment, was not aware of what was going to happen next, and then probably sadly met her end. That is what I'm seeing. So, very sad story, obviously. A very young life to be taken. In any case, I hope you found the video interesting. At least if you could leave a like and a comment, that would really help the channel along. I'd also love it if you would like to subscribe to the channel, and then you'll always know when my next video is going to be uploaded, because you'll probably be one of the first people to know. At least it should show up on your feed. In any case, hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now.